everybody's benefit.
Steve Johnson's made a good job of this weekend, hasn't he?
He has done a very good job, and considering the difficulties that he had last season where things just didn't bounce his way, he's gathering points, had a podium finish yesterday. That's always good news.
I think Todd Kelly, too, has done an outstanding job. Very mature drive. He's only 21 years of age, remember? The young kid from Mildura.
I'll never forget when he won in Canberra, you know, his first ever V8 race. He looked like he's lost his mother's purse. You know?
Yeah, he's not a very emotional guy.
No, not at all.
But he's got a very structured plan to this year's championship. He drove with the Holden Young Lions team last year, and they couldn't do a full program due to budgetary constraints. Now he's got a good tool at his disposal, and he can do the full championship. And he said, I really want championship success. He's concentrating on consistency and bagging big lots of points. And he's going to do it today if he stays where he is. 350 points on offer.
Johnson's menacing at the moment. The speed that Stephen's carrying suggests to me that there could be a position change here. And it points at the critical element that everybody's talking about. You've got to come out the other side of these big points races with a great bag of them. Even if, as Jeff said before, you don't have the result you want, you've just got to finish and bag them up. And the guy that looks like doing that at the moment is Jason Bright. Russell Ingall 4 seconds behind. This intensive battle between Kelly and Johnson for 4th and 5th. Larry Perkins having a reasonably solid day. Tony Longhurst, that's an impressive performance. We're back with the conclusion of the Clipsal 500 in a moment.
You're watching Todd Kelly, car number 15 in 5th position, and the pressure's off a little bit because just a moment ago Marcus Ambrose had a moment and lost ground. He was pressuring Kelly for that position. Here it is. Marcus comes in a bit too hot. And he actually shot past Todd, as you can see, but then overcooked it. Regained control just in time to peel it off the wall. But Todd lives to fight another day. So does Marcus, but his heart rate just about doubled on that occasion, and he is now back and trying to settle it down and get back into a rhythm. Jason Bright, 3.7 seconds. Russell Ingall has pulled a little bit of time off him in the last lap. It could be traffic that's done that, because Jason's been running pretty well. Russell pulled a second off him a couple of laps ago, but Jason won it back, and that battle continues. Glenn Seaton in 3rd, then Stephen Johnson and Todd Kelly and Marcus Ambrose. Mark Scaife, championship leader, 9th position. Whatever he takes out of this race today will be added to the 9-point lead over rival Craig Lowndes, who's out of the running.
We're just about at the end of 2 grueling days of motorsport. Now, Kevin Ivins, you work with Craig Lowndes in terms of fitness. Describe to us what these drivers' bodies are now going through at this stage of the weekend.
At this point in time in the race, it's been about 2 hours into it, and they'd be experiencing signs of fatigue, muscle fatigue. They'd be starting to get blisters in areas whereby just constant repetitive gear changing and stresses are placed upon the body from the G-forces. For a long, hard time.
Obviously, concentration is very low at the moment, but carbon monoxide poisoning is also a problem. What are the telltale signs for you?
Well, because of the track, the way this is, the ventilation's not too much strong. It's not very well, and when I'm looking for things like headaches, drivers may feel as though they want to be sick, or just signs of confusion where their judgment is a little bit impaired. So when things like that happen, we start to get a little bit worried.
We're not far from the flag, so thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Trouble for Dougal McDougall. Something weird going on with the front right there as he wobbles off at turn 7. Made contact with someone or something. 5 laps to go. Yeah, it does not look good. Little wheel alignment required for that one. Jason Bright is the leader, 3.9 seconds that margin now. There's the gap back to Russell Ingall. Can the enforcer do anything about the margin? Bright's been responding. The pressure's on. It's down to a sprint to the end. It means that Russell's got to take something like 3/4 of a second a lap. Look at this battle, though, between Stephen Johnson and Glenn Seaton. Seaton defending on the inside. Boy, Glenn's had a busy day.
This is the battle for 3rd. Stephen Johnson's been going gangbusters, picking them off one by one. He's now up with Seaton. 2 Fords very evenly matched in the dying stages of this race. Stephen Johnson wants to get onto that podium. So they're going to go fight right down to the wire. Glenn Seaton in the FTR Falcon Junior Johnson, boy, he's been working hard on his fitness, and it's showing here. He's really pumped up.
And it looks like there's actually a little bit of door damage in the left door of Glenn's car. It's only light, I think, but it might have been something that happened earlier. But the pressure really on here. Stephen makes a big move under brakes. Glenn's got him covered. He then crisscrosses. Glenn ran a diagonal line to the corner, which is difficult to pass because you're not quite sure where he's going to end up. It's a good manoeuvre.
He's really used his head this weekend, Stephen Johnson. But he's managed to stay out of most of the carnage. He got a big hit in the door yesterday, but the rest of the time he's had a pretty clean race. And it's very, very tough picking your way through the traffic here. Anyone who can survive that in a strong position has done a very, very good job.
Remember, at the top of the show, we talked about what is and is not acceptable in terms of defence. At the start of the race director doesn't want to see defensive lines. At the end of the race, it's every man for himself.
Glenn Seaton and Stephen Johnson are aware of that. Great shot from above the centre chicane as these two battle up Wakefield Road. Everything's tired now. Everything's on its last leg. The drivers, the cars, they're really battling for survival. Stephen Johnson, though, still got a few pumps left in him, and he's really pushing Seaton hard here.
Yeah, they're in the 1:28s, these two, and I think Stephen Johnson's got a little bit more pace at hand if he can actually squeeze by, but that's going to be very difficult.
We saw something pretty ugly there a few laps ago, that part of the track.
And remember, yesterday, Glenn Seaton and Jason Bright, who now leads this race, were involved in an almost identical battle at about this stage of the race, and it ended up with contact made and Seaton up against the wall. And one thing Glenn doesn't want to do today is lose the opportunity to bag points and maybe walk away with a podium. Now Johnson has another lunge. Gets right into the...
You can see him using all the track as he came through GMC corner. He just let it run right out wide, out toward the concrete, just reducing the radius of the turn, saving his tyres for a big attack as they got down to the hairpin. Here comes Dougal McDougall.
The white flag suggests that, oh, that's so close, that there's a slower car on the road. Be careful. He's limping back to the pits. This is an amazing battle now. This time through, 3 laps to go. Johnson fractions behind Seaton. The battle for third, red hot. 2 forwards. Pride at stake. Points at stake. A podium at stake. They're in the braking area for turn 1.
Good run for it. If he gets a good run out of this, maybe. No.
Glenn just holds the inside defensively. He's allowed to do that. No one locks a brake. No contact made. It's real pressure motor racing. Do you go that extra metre under brakes or don't you? You just can't afford to be over-pressured in this situation. You have to stay aggressive and fast, but relaxed enough that you don't make a mistake. Johnson up the inside. Can he get the job done? Yes!
Oh, what a brilliant.
Very good move.
Excellent.
Set him up. He had good drive out of that turn. Punched through on the inside. Seaton, no defence. He drops back. There's a lot of pride on stake here. The arrival of Gibson Motorsport running a Ford. It's really rattled a lot of these existing Ford teams. Now here's the chance for one of these teams to be the top performing Ford on the day.
Ingles 3.5 seconds behind Bright. He's pulled a bit back again.
So the order, Jason Bright, 3.5 seconds in front of Ingle. Glenn Seaton was in third. He's just been taken by Stephen Johnson. Seaton in fourth. Todd Kelly in fifth. Marcus Ambrose is still in sixth. Stephen Richards, Larry Perkins, Mark Scape in ninth. And Greg Murphy rounding out the 10.
Just had word through, Mark, that today's crowd here in Adelaide, 64,900, and a record attendance for the 3 days, 166,800 people for the Clipsal 500. Fantastic.
One of they've re-signed for so many years. This is a phenomenal event.
The gap. Oh, sorry, Bob.
You're right.
The gap between Bright and Ingle now down to 2.7. 2 laps to go.
Escape.
There it is.
And Murphy. It's still on between these two. And there's a tremendous amount of competition between these two TWR Australia run teams. Holden Racing Team and Kmart Racing. Cars are prepared within a stone's throw of each other at the big industrial park in Clayton in Victoria.
I'm down here with Melanie. Now, you're Jason Bright's fiancée, Melanie. Is this the part of the race that you hate or love? You're not quite there yet, but you're so close.
I absolutely hate it. Yeah, I think there's about a lap to go, so we'll wait and see.
Well, how do you think Jason will be feeling right now? I know he was very tired after yesterday. Didn't really want to come back and do it all again.
No, he would have been happy if someone else could get in the car for him, I think. But yeah, it's all good so far.
Now, being a physio, you helped him out last night?
Yeah, had a bit of work last night and today, so hopefully that's helped.
Okay, well, I know you're nervous. We'll let you go watch the last couple of laps. Best of luck.
Okay, thanks very much.
The nerves are bad down at the Holden Racing team. They're pretty tight up here at the Castrol Racing team. Julia Ingle, how are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty happy. The boys have done a great job. Everything's gone pretty well, so hopefully, I just don't want to say anything because I'm scared to jinx him, but with a lap to go, hopefully second's okay.
Now tell us, what about the big coffee machine? We've been watching the sign.
Yeah, I know. We're desperate for this coffee machine. He has to win the race to get the coffee machine, so maybe next time.
We'll leave that to Barry to explain.
What is the coffee machine story, Baz?
Coffee machine stories. Julia was moaning because Russell won't buy her a coffie machine. So I said, well, okay, when he finally wins a race again, I'll buy one for you.
Oh, so you're the man in the back.
You're the sponsor. Half a lap to go.
This is a very important moment psychologically for Jason Bright, coming in to fill the big shoes of Craig Lowndes at Holden Racing Team. It was very important to him early in the season that he did put a stamp. Oh, there's the sign there. That's Russell's inspiration. That's where he looks at the dashboard all through the race. But I was going to say, very important for Jason Bright to put a stamp, I guess, on his own territory at HRT, and he's really going to do it today.
Only 2 corners remaining now for Jason Bright before he takes out this second leg of the Clipsal 500. Another torrid day with safety car interventions, controversy, damage. Ingle pushes all the way to the flag. The limping Mark Larkham in front. It's going to be a small margin when they finally get there. Bright lines up for the final run to the checker. A little bit of oversteer on exit, and Jason Bright wins for the Holden Racing Team. The margin 1.2 seconds back to Russell Ingle.
And can you believe that, Neil? That's the 3rd time Holden Racing Team has won on the streets of Adelaide with 3 different drivers. Do these blokes know what they're doing or what?
Well, it shows it ain't luck, doesn't it?
Just incredible, and that's a great effort from Stephen Johnson. An outstanding drive over 2 very tough days.
Look how close those guys were at the end of a couple of hours of racing. Johnson, Seaton, Kelly, Ambrose, and then even Richards there, really separated by tiny margins considering all the things that have to transpire through the afternoon.
Well, they talk about endurance, and this race is the toughest in the country. The toughest any V8 supercar driver will come across, and I reckon on a global scale, the toughest you'll find anywhere. Jason Bright, what an outstanding drive. Kept his head. They brought him in early, made his 2 stops. The field came back to him, and he put in a masterful performance to bring this car home a winner.
And Scape incidentally made it home in front of Murphy. Scape coming home in 9th, Murphy 10th on board there with Mark. We're still lapping in the closing stages of in the high 27, so despite the ugly looking damage, it didn't knock the car's performance around too much.
Russell Ingle, he's back in the game. He's going to pick up 464 points this weekend, and that'll put a big smile on his face. He had a shocker last year. Now he's right back in the battle for the Shell Championship Series as a result of a strong performance at Adelaide.
A massive amount of points to lose for Lowndes.
Oh yeah, that's very costly. Yeah, it's going to be a frustrating afternoon for him. Let's have a look at the Shell Helix race score and confirm the race results for the Clipsal 500. Jason Bright, Russell Ingle, Stephen Johnson, Glenn Seaton, Todd Kelly, Marcus Ambrose, Stephen Richards, Larry Perkins, then Mark Scape, Greg Murphy, Tony Longhurst, John Faulkner, Trevor Ashby. These guys are a lap down. Bargwana, Mazira, and then Jason Richards from New Zealand. Mecklem, Tratt, Garth Panda managed to get some points there in the end. We'll be back in a moment to talk to the winners.
And would have been brilliant otherwise. Had to come back to Australia, joined the Premier team, and look what he's done with that. Second, Russell Ingle and Stephen Johnson reversing their positions of yesterday. Now, that is very important in terms of the championship race as well. Glenn Seaton 4th overall. Todd Kelly, what a great drive. He's been consistently good across the weekend as well. Likewise, Marcus Ambrose, in spite of the fact he came up pointless yesterday, he did drive well. He was simply a victim of circumstances. Good recovery too from Stephen Richards, Larry Perkins, Greg Murphy, the top 10. Mark Scape, I mentioned earlier, salvaging a good bag of points out of this race, which Craig Lowndes was unable to do. Gee, it sets up a great battle though for the championship. The way it's turned out, Jason Bright was some 80 points off Scape and Lowndes. Now he is on top of the podium and looking to be a real threat in 2001. Here's Mark Osler.
What about that, guys? What a fantastic Clipsal 500. Did you enjoy yourselves today? Amazing atmosphere. And let me remind you, you've done very well. It was a record crowd for the Clipsal 500, the biggest V8 supercar audience in the world. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Fantastic day. Before we get our winners out here, a quick word from the man who's helped make this all possible, the Premier of South Australia, the Honourable John Olsen. Johnson!